Labor Talks. Today's special guest is Frank Rodriguez. Frank currently serves as the president of the International Association of Heat and Frost Insulators and Allied Workers Local 19. Welcome to Labor Talks, Frank.
How are you?
Good.
Thanks for inviting me.
Good to have you here. Start by telling us a little bit about you.
Well, I came from a factory background. My grandparents were migrant workers that came up here, worked seasonal jobs in factories. My mom and dad met, and my dad was a factory worker, while I was growing up. And basically when I got to the point where I wanted to see where I wanted to be with my career, I chose construction. And here I am, 27 years later, in the trade with a lot of different types of background with the construction.
So you know it all, don't you?
Yeah, not really.
Tell us about the union and the area that your local covers.
Well, we are the heat and frost insulators. A lot of people question me if I do a lot of houses or attics like that. No, we don't. Basically what we do is we cover all the mechanical all the mechanicals that go into the buildings, all the plumbing, the HVAC, steam, so we do all the insulation work for that. Outside of commercial side of what we do for insulation, we've worked in refineries, we've worked in ethanol plants, nuclear plants, you name it. Whatever kind of system is hot, cold, or needs to be maintained, that's what we basically do.
Commercial buildings versus residential, correct?
Correct. Yeah, residential, that's typically not our forte for that. No, it's mostly 90% commercial, 10% industrial, just in our area itself. We cover the southern half of Wisconsin, and I myself travel quite a bit to cover this area, so yeah, I'm east, west, north, and south of southern Wisconsin.
And then there's another local in Minnesota, correct?
Minnesota, yes, we overlap. They are our sister local, Local 34 out of Minneapolis. And then we have another sister local in Wisconsin, which is 127 out of the Green Bay area.
And you're running around taking care of everybody for the most part.
Well,
for our state.
Well, we work together because we have our territory. They have their territories for the counties that they cover. So that's why when I say I cover the southern half of Wisconsin, it's all the counties that are like straight across the middle of Wisconsin all the way down to the Illinois border, and we have 4 counties in Illinois too that we cover.
Kind of like our office does. The company I work for, we take care of Rockford.
Right.
And the northeastern section of Iowa and upper UP. So it's like, it's like we got our, like you said, your territories, but
right.
It's nice when they can all work together.
Yeah. Rockford's a pretty busy area for us right now. Yeah.
What types of jobs do your union members work on specifically?
Like I said, mainly commercial. We're 90% commercial. We've done all the powerhouses here in Wisconsin, down in Oak Creek. We've got a nuclear plant down in Illinois, Byron, Illinois, and that one just kind of runs basically like 2 seasons. When they have their shutdowns, we go in there and take care of whatever has to be taken care of, so they can do other inspections on all the piping and stuff. So when we go in there, we take the insulation off and then we replace it on the different systems in there. But for the most part, right now, our biggest project right now is the Bucks Arena, and it's pretty impressive. All the work that's gone into that. From ground zero when they started, all the way till now. It's getting close, to the end of the project, so they should be ready for the 2018 fall season here. Yeah.
Let's see, I had to go to the new Miller Stadium when they got it all done for the Brewers, and I had to make sure I got to Lambeau Field to see all the changes. So I have to make sure I get down to the Bucks Arena so I can see.
Yeah, we did.
And they're doing well too.
Yeah, they did. Because we worked on the Miller Park too, and plus we've done all the upgrades at Lambeau Field too. So yeah.
And Why is insulating so important for energy, environment, health, safety?
You know, there's always talks about green energy, and insulation is basically one of the best products for green energy. You know, conserving, you know, energy through maintaining the systems to properly run. You know, if a system isn't running properly and it's working harder, it's basically using more gas. You know, the emissions and stuff that it releases if it's not covered correctly. You know, so we do energy audits. So if somebody contacts us to do an energy audit on, let's say, their heating system, we can come in there. Well, we've got thermal imaging cameras that can show you where the insulation has failed, and we put it into our little computer, and it'll tell you what type of insulation you should use, the thickness, and the emissions that that you could save, you know, from that.
And especially in industrial buildings where they've got all the new timers and the for the thermostats and things for people for running things when there are people in those buildings.
Correct.
And I know I've heard a lot of complaints from people that why can't they just keep the building warm all the time? Why can't they keep it just cool all the time in the summertime? That it takes more energy to warm a building up when it's been left to run down to 50-some degrees.
Right, right. You know, and that's the other thing too. You know, like if you go into your own home in your basement and you go next to the water heater, you touch the hot water pipe, it's really hot. But let's say you go to the other side of your house, you know, and touch the hot water pipe over there, and it's cold. Well, that's the heat loss that's being transferred through the pipe all the way through the system. So now if it's insulated properly,
You wouldn't have that.
you wouldn't have that. You would maintain that temperature from the beginning source to the end.
And a lot of people, I think, understand the difference in what it does to the environment and for their own health.
Correct.
If they're losing that heat, you know, and like you said, then the energy is running that much more, especially in places. I have a sister that lives in Vegas with the rolling blackouts or the rolling brownouts, as they're called.
Right.
There's a lot of people that can't handle that heat. So they need to understand that if they did the focus on energy or whatever they could do to keep the loss
Yes.
of energy in even their own house or the business that they're running,
Correct.
how much difference it would make to the environment. You wouldn't have to do so many of those rolling blackouts.
No.
And you know, we mentioned about the green. So are heat and frost insulator contractors and your international looking for ways to go green?
Yeah, we always have. We've put on classes just to show the how you can conserve energy by properly insulating systems to make everything run more efficient and cost effective for running a building or whatever, you know. And right now our international has been working on an energy audit bill, and we were just at the
It's okay.
we were just at the legislative conference, and when we got together with our international, they gave us all the paperwork that we needed to go up and talk to all of the legislators to try to get on board with this energy bill that we're presenting, you know, and you know, incentives for power companies or even homeowners, you know, to use the insulation properly to conserve energy.
A lot of people don't understand the differences in the types of insulation in a house, like the spray-in insulation versus the rolled out pink stuff that everybody thinks of as insulation, you know,
Right,
the Pink
right.
Panther dude. But just that alone, the focus on energy, switching to the light bulbs that are LED and how much energy it's going to save. Yes, they're more expensive up front, but they
But-
pay for themselves.
Yes, they do.
Same with the insulation. It pays for it. The proper wrap around, like you said, the hot water pipes and things like that to keep the heat and so that they don't lose it. Solar. geothermal floors,
Yep.
all the different things to help and go green.
Mm-hmm.
What types of change in the materials have you guys been dealing with for going green?
Basically, we've used the same concept that they've used 100 years ago, with the fiberglass insulation. We have gotten away from the asbestos, because
That's
they've
good.
had, they've had a lot of issues with that, with the asbestos, because back then they didn't really have any, what do you want to say here? They didn't have any tests proving that it was
asbestos
harmful.
was so bad for you.
Yeah, but once they got to that point, they eliminated it back in the 70s. So,
And how often do your guys run into the asbestos? Where you got to stop a job, have the abatement people come in?
not too often. Typically, if a building is going to be renovated, they'll get those guys in before any other construction starts. Yeah.
Because I know that, with the mesothelioma and from the asbestosis, and
Yes.
that's the major thing that was
Yeah.
causing.
And that's another thing too that our international has done too. We've got a program through the international that is doing research on meso. So with that, I myself, it was probably about, I'm going to say, about 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, our international set up so that everybody could get a CT scan, and they put so many people with that have been exposed to asbestos, was a smoker, and worked in the industry for a minimum of 10 years with exposure. And I fit into that, so I actually got my CT scan, and it came out, knock on wood,
Knock on wood.
it came out good. But the last time I talked to the international rep that's, doing this, he wanted me to go back in for another CT scan.
To see if there's been any difference,
Yes.
to track it.
Yeah, because it's a 30-year exposure. You're not going to find out within the first 2 years of working
On
with
the
it.
exposure.
Yeah.
It's right. It's not like a nuclear power plant with radioactive
Right.
isotopes
Right.
where someone's getting contaminated right then and there. With our union firefighters, the number one cause of line of duty death is cancer because of all the chemicals they work with and things
Correct.
like that. What would you say is the number one cause of line of duty deaths for your members? Same type?
Same mesothelioma,
Lung cancer?
lung cancer, yeah. Because, the older generation was exposed to it quite a bit, until the government actually had some regulations on the asbestos exposure. Then, that's when they started changing products. So a lot of the stuff that we use now is non-asbestos.
So it's not something that the younger generation coming into the industry needs to worry about as much
No.
because of the new safety
Correct.
regulations and standards.
Yeah.
Good. You have apprenticeship program. Can you tell us about how your apprenticeship program works and how someone can sign up for it?
Well, if somebody really wants to get into our local, I do a lot of recruitment, so I'm out on the job sites. I talk to people that are already in our industry and invite them to come over into our union. We'll retrain them, and we've got a separate program for them. For apprentices, a lot of the times it's word of mouth because we're kind of like the trade's best kept secret. So, not a lot of people know what a heat and frost insulator is. So typically it's word of mouth, how they find out. We're doing a lot more advertising. We're doing a lot more programs in the schools.
I was just going to ask, do you go to the tech schools or you go to the high schools?
Yeah, and then we do a lot of the career fairs that the building trades themselves put on. So we're always participating in that to try to get more people into our local. It's a 4-year apprenticeship program. They serve 3 semesters in the classroom time, and it's, I think we are probably one of the only trades that pays their apprentices to attend school. So they go one day a week for 3 semesters. After 4 years, you you take your journeyman's test, and you're a journeyman.
So they're not in class every day, 24, for 4 days, 4 or 5 days a week. They're
No.
1 day a week, and then the rest of the time they're on the job, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So they're
correct.
learning as they go as well.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, we always have a website, insulators19.com. We have applications on there. They can fill the application, mail it to us, fax it to us, however they want to do it. They can email it to us too.
And you have a rolling thing, correct? Because as one person graduates, that opens a spot for the next year's class, right?
Well, it's, we're at a 3-to-1 ratio right now, and as the contractors need apprentices, we have a list of guys or gals that want to get in, and right now I think one of the biggest things for us is females into the trades, and we've got, I got to say, we got probably pretty close to about 12 ladies that work for us, and we've just got a new apprentice too that's female.
Female? That's
Yeah.
nice to see.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's great.
And they're doing everything the same thing the guys are doing, correct?
Same thing. Equal pay.
Equal pay. Now we can get the government to agree with equal pay.
Right.
Why is prevailing wage so important?
Prevailing wage, basically, it maintains our market. It maintains our market. When we done, before prevailing wage went away, I mean, it was awesome. We basically controlled our market in our industry. The people that work for the non-union, when they got on these prevailing wage projects, I mean, they were ecstatic because they loved making that kind of money. And it's kind of an enticement for them that, hey, if you want to keep making that money, why don't you just come and join the union, and make that pay plus benefits. I mean, the benefits are huge. I mean, younger generation, I mean, it's hard to explain benefits to them. I mean, I was one of those when I first got in,
Yeah, why am I paying somebody dues?
Right.
Why am I paying,
But the thing of it is that, I mean, it's a good living, and as you can see nowadays, the middle class is being attacked. And the good paying jobs that we have and try to share with everybody else in our industry, it's starting to go by the wayside because we're being attacked by, politicians that just don't believe that there should be a middle class.
Understand it, right?
Yeah.
If I was a building owner and I was going to be building a building and I wanted to come to you and say, tell me why I should hire you versus that non-union company.
Well, first thing I could tell you is that we're the only trade in Wisconsin, the state of Wisconsin, that have an indentured apprenticeship for the heat and frost insulators. We are state indentured, so we are recognized as the only trade to teach this. So, and if that wasn't enough for you, I mean, we've got, numerous jobs that we can show all the skilled work that we've done. And if that wasn't enough for you, I'd invite you to my training center, just to show you how much we put into our members and their training to give them what they have now.
And then that in return is going to come back and help me because my building is going to be built better and upkept better because of the training.
Because of that, yes.
Because I know when I was down in Madison for the hearings, and I listened to quite a few of the guys talk about prevailing wage, the contractors themselves want to keep the unions. They want to keep the
Yes.
prevailing wage because it gives them the training ability for the people that are going to work in there for them versus them having to do it.
Correct.
And I think that's a big thing that a lot of other people don't understand.
No. And a lot of our contractors, they like it that we put this together and we have this training for the members so that when they hire a guy to do a job, they don't have to worry about if he knows what he's doing. A lot of times, you work for a non-union shop, they hire somebody from Indeed or the local staffing area, and then they throw them on a job and they say, all right, do this. And then the guy sits there and goes,
How?
yeah.
Or they'll do it, but they'll do it the wrong way. Or
Correct.
they'll get hurt, which adds to OSHA's numbers about someone being hurt.
Yes.
And we know that between 4 and 5 and over 5,000 people die every year on the job.
Right.
You're not going to find as many deaths on a union job as you are going to find, or injuries, as you find on a non-union.
Correct. And right now, we have our safety programs are always being taught. This weekend, we have an OSHA 30 class going on. So, you know, it's 2 weekends, 4 days, and we have a certified trainer for OSHA 30, and whichever members haven't had it yet in our local, they are getting put through it. So safety is like #1 standard for us and all of our contractors.
We recently just had the Workers' Memorial Day celebration where we celebrated the lives of, and we honor the dead, but we fight for the living to make our jobs safer.
Correct.
And normally OSHA comes and speaks, and obviously they couldn't this time because they were in Superior.
Oh.
You know,
That's right.
Because of the
Yes,
explosion
'cause of the
up at the
explosion,
refinery.
yes.
And I hear a lot of complaints from manufacturers about OSHA. And they don't understand what OSHA does either. And how
Correct.
they'd work hand in hand with your union too, correct?
Yeah, yes, they do. They do. I mean, if it wasn't for these safety standards, I mean, guys would be getting hurt every day. You know, I mean, a long time ago, nobody had to wear a hard hat, safety glasses,
Steel-toed boots.
steel-toed boots.
The breathing apparatus, if there is
Right, correct.
asbestos.
Correct, correct. And, you know, and now, you know, you have to have certain requirements to be on some of these projects. You know, like the project that's just starting up down in Beloit, the Beloit Powerhouse down there. The Enercon who is actually running the project is requiring anybody to be on that project to have OSHA 30, to be OSHA 30 trained.
And so we know that those other run-of-the-mill non-union shops are not going to have that.
No, no.
There's a lot of people too that don't understand. If someone has a gluten allergy, people are realizing that gluten is being put in everything. I don't think a lot of people realize that asbestos was put in everything too. Ceiling tiles, floor tiles, insulation, the wrap insulation, everything.
The wrap insulation. The old irons, that cloth cord, that was asbestos too.
So, and it was put in everything.
It was everything, yeah.
The labor hall in Fond du Lac flooded, and they found out that the tiles on the floor had asbestos in them. You'd never think that asbestos would be in a tile on a floor,
Right, right.
but everything.
Yeah. So yeah, and you know, to be honest with you, I did that for 7, 8 years before I got into the insulation part. You know, I did all the removal.
The abatement.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been there.
No wonder he wants you to have those tests done, Frank. Make sure you
That's
have that done. Remind everybody again, if someone would like to join the Insulators Local, how would they do that?
You could go to insulators19.com, click on the apprenticeship link, and you can pull up a application, download the application, print it out, email it to us, fax it to us.
Mail it to you,
Yeah, mail it to us.
the old snail mail.
The snail mail.
Gotta keep our postal workers going.
That's right. That's right.
Another one of our unions.
That's right.
So that way we can hopefully get some more people to understand the importance of being in the union and what the union does for them.
Correct.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Frank?
You know, anybody that's working in our industry right now, I mean, I encourage them to actually be part of our local. You know, I mean, they're doing the same thing on both sides of the fence. And if I'm getting paid what I'm getting paid with all my benefits and I can have a good retirement, why shouldn't you?
Right.
You know, I mean.
The people that complain that we're the problem and that we're running up the pay and things like that, no.
No.
You're not getting paid enough. Come join our fight.
Right. Correct.
Well, that's today's program. My thanks to the viewing audience and to you, Frank, for being
you.
here.
Thanks, you.
Helps make today's program possible. My thanks also to the folks working behind our cameras from Valley Media Works. they not only make the show possible, but they give us an outlet for our voices, for our working family voices. Labor Talks is on channel 993 twice weekly. You can also use your favorite search engines with YouTube and look up Labor Talks or CBC TV and find us on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in today.
Television is made possible by continuing community support. If you would like to volunteer or make a donation, you can contact us by calling 715-839-5067.